So before I get into anything for this chapter of My Hero Academia, I would like to point out Horikoshi-sensei's offer comment in Weekly Shonen Jump this week. He says he was overcome by great joy and sadness for 2 hours. Now, this is something that I think many might start wondering about. Like, is something going on within his life, or is he talking about the current events going on within the manga? Because with any writer, they usually get very close to their work. In a lot of ways, you can view, an author's work as their child. They have cultivated and worked heavily on said story, and obviously when a writer has to do certain things within their story, it might upset them, it might bring them great joy because of just the progression of characters, etc. And I feel like that offer comment is in some way Horikoshi talking about events about to happen within the manga. Now, like I said, I could be entirely wrong, but it's very scary when you just read that offer comment and you think about what is being set up within this chapter because of Shigaraki rushing over to where Izuku currently is. So I guess this is the perfect segue to talk about it. I don't know how many of you noticed this. There's probably quite a few, honestly, because it kind of heavily implied something like it was going to happen. But if you view when Shigaraki is locating where Izuku is currently at, when he zooms in and locates him, you see a total of 2 dots or 2 stars running. One that's obviously Izuku, and one right close to him that is Bakugo. But then if you look a little bit more to the left of that, you will see another star that's kind of trailing away from the pack, the evacuees that are currently leaving the location. And most likely this individual is either A, Todoroki, or B, Ochako. And personally, I'm willing to believe it's Ochako for obvious reasons. I mean, we had a literal panel dedicated to Ochako getting a little bit scared or worried on her face. Literally, there was a solid panel that pretty much spoke without any words, letting us know that Ochako is deeply concerned. We know she cares about Izuku. We know for a fact that she knows how he goes over the deep end. He does things that, he normally you wouldn't see from other people. I feel like Ochako has been around Izuku enough and seen his actions to know he's lying about something. And I feel like that little star that's falling behind the pack, Bakugo and Izuku, is probably Ochako. But if it's not her, it's Todoroki. And the reason why I think this is a perfectly, scary situation is because I talked about this in my last chapter review. I talked about how Shigaraki himself, he actually straight up looked at Ochako. Like, when Shigaraki confronted Izuku a very long time ago, really early into the series, and he talked about what was the difference between him and Stain, Ochako was there and even tried to help out Izuku in her own way. She's like, hey, could you let go of him and all that? And he, he walked off and he left. And I feel like this is setting up for maybe a potential Ochako death, because, when you really think about it, that would really hit Izuku very hard. I think if there's anyone that was to die in front of him, besides Bakugo, it would definitely be Ochako. I think Ochako's death would have a major impact on him, and just to lose her would also correlate with kind of how All Might lost, his mentor, his master. I feel like that would be a nice little correlation, like a parallel to the two events. But the point, is I think that it's clear that Horikoshi is setting up a major character death. Someone is about to die. And the question is, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Ochako? Is it going to be Todoroki? Is it going to be Endeavor? Or is it going to be Bakugo? I feel like the way this writing has been with building up how Shigaraki is, someone very, very important within the series is about to die. Shigaraki rushing over there, there's really not going to be much that can stop him. After seeing everything that we witnessed already from this chapter and the previous chapters, it's clear that no one can really stand up to the man. Not even Izuku at this point can even hold a candle to what Shigaraki is currently capable of. So I feel like someone is going to die. Enough said. So, is it Ochako, Todoroki, Endeavor, whatever, Bakugo? Who really knows? Maybe Nux has been spoiling us all this time. Maybe he knew that Bakugo was going to die. Who really knows? But okay, jokes aside though, I would like to talk about the fighting first, before I get into anything else, because there is a lot to talk about, but I want to get into the action stuff at the beginning of this chapter, because obviously with the cliffhanger of last chapter, is set up for Endeavor versus Shigaraki. And honestly, the turnout of events kind of wasn't really that shocking, that Shigaraki really didn't get damaged and he, was putting up an amazing fight and, Endeavor really couldn't do much against him. But I'm still surprised by just how it technically was not a fight. And let me explain. If you really look at the chapter and you look at what Shigaraki does, he's not really giving 100%. Like, he's not really putting his back into the fight against Endeavor. He's more along the lines thinking about his new form, him now obtaining, all for one, him wanting something else, feeling very empty. He's not really caring too much about his overall fight with the number one hero, which just speaks volumes about how high level Shigaraki is with all for one in comparison to Endeavor. Endeavor was putting up a good fight. It's clear that he has more strategy and experience than Shigaraki, but it's still very scary that Shigaraki clearly was not putting his 100% into the fight because he was just so preoccupied with his own emptiness that he didn't care about anything else. And I mean, it was a spectacular, action sequence, honestly. I mean, you have it to where Endeavor enters the fight and opens up with Hell's Curtain, lights the area on fire. Shigaraki jumps through, about to grab Endeavor, which is just absolutely horrifying. Endeavor manages to stop mid-air and all that and kind of dodge. He actually rotates himself with his fire. Like, if you look at the image, he literally uses the fire from his hand to spin his body around, and then he uses that momentum of force to slam Shigaraki back into the ground again without touching him. And then Shigaraki, obviously, he comes back up as Endeavor's, kind of talking to everybody like, hey, anyone that can fly can't touch the ground. I need you all to guard the perimeter, guard the, people that are evacuating, etc. And, he's just like, get over here, etc. And you see how he's lighting, hellfire, like, hell curtain up against Shigaraki. Shigaraki tanks that, goes straight through it, and almost grabs Endeavor, and Endeavor grabs the man's arm and thinks like, okay, no touch, and Shigaraki blasts him away. It's spectacular. The action sequence is so fluid. I'm really impressed by just the artwork alone. Like, I have to hand it to Horikoshi. That was a really good beginning section of this chapter. Like, honestly, it reminded me like if I was watching an anime. That's just how good it looked. But okay, so, this is the big point now. Now that I kind of got that out of my system, when it comes to what we just witnessed from Shigaraki, his powers are whoa. Like, we already knew that he was going to be incredibly strong. We knew he had all for one. He potentially had a lot of quirks, and this chapter definitely does confirm he has quite a bit. I mean, he has regeneration, which automatically makes him ridiculous. He has the ability to do something like pop step, which is kind of concerning, honestly, because I'm not currently up to date with My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I'm not, so I don't really know what's going on within the story, but what Shigaraki did within this chapter by jumping as far as he did in the way he anchored himself and hopped, it reminded me a lot of Pop Step from the spin-off. And I know that My Hero Academia Vigilantes technically takes place before the main story, and we do know that the events of what All for One does, etc. is tied in with that, and I feel like, is Horikoshi Sensei implying something bad happened to Pop Step, or is it just a quirk that's very similar to hers that Shigaraki currently has? Because the quirk is very identical, because Pop Step is able to bounce up and use force to jump incredible distances and kind of like float a little bit, and that's what Shigaraki did. Now, it obviously looks incredibly strong, stronger than Pop Step's, but it's really, you can kind of say because he has all for one, he has multiple quirks inside of him, he might have super strength to be able to do it too, but I just feel like it's a hint there, and I don't know what's going on in the current events of Vigilantes, but I wonder if that is Pop Step's quirk or not, and if it is, yikes, that's kind of sad, because Pop Step's a pretty awesome character. I liked her from the brief stuff I've read of Vigilantes. But okay, besides that quirk and regeneration, we also have the ability to, like, shoot, like, a blast out of his hand. You literally see Shigaraki, like, blast Endeavor away from him without even touching him. Shows that he has, like, some form of air force or laser blast that he could shoot out of his, hand. And then on top of that as well, you have the ability to kind of completely nullify Endeavor's fire, hold it back, because when Endeavor is engaging against Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's kind of using his search quirk to be able to figure out, like, where Izuku is, he kind of holds Endeavor back without really touching him, kind of like a shield, whatever, so he has quite a few abilities. The man is ridiculous at this point, so yeah, I mean, if he's not really paying attention and fighting Endeavor, there's really not much anyone can do. Izuku just does not stand a chance whatsoever. There's really not much you can do against someone that's just that incredibly powerful. So we're going to see where, this is going to go in the upcoming chapters of Bakugo and Izuku versus Shigaraki. So again, let's talk about Search. So, obviously, Shigaraki has Search. And I do like the panel sequence of this chapter of how Horikoshi, kind of let us know that Shigaraki was using Search to find Izuku, and how it kind of all falls in line. It's not a plot hole, etc., like a convenient quirk he has. He has Search, he's being able to use it to find Izuku, and that's just how he located him, and showing that brief panel of Ragdoll wishing she had her quirk was a good tie-in to show that's exactly what Shigaraki was using. So going over the Search quirk, I want to kind of remind everybody of what it does. Currently at this time, we don't really know many limitations. The only limitation we know of the Search quirk is that Shigaraki is only able to see up to 100 people. Now, we don't really know if All For One, the quirk All For One, is actually able to expand this limit. For instance, if it's only 100, or if he can kind of expand it to 1,000, unlimited amount, we don't really know. But the point, though, is the base Search quirk currently can only use 100. Like, you can only see 100 people, their locations, and their weak points. And that is the big scary thing about this. Because of the Search quirk and being able to locate someone and also see their weak points, that means that Shigaraki is going to be able to look at Izuku, understand his weak points as a person, and completely take him down, tear him down to where he wants him to be to probably grab One For All. Now, we know that One For All can't really be grabbed by normal means, so I'm kind of curious on where this is going to be, which is something I want to talk about more along the lines in this video. But the point is that when he views Izuku and views his weakness, obviously his greatest weakness is protecting people and, willing to die for them, etc. And with potentially Ochako being there, that makes his weakness even more magnified. And I feel like Shigaraki is going to use Izuku's weakness for Ochako and Bakugo to his advantage. I could definitely see that with the Search quirk being used. So it's scary. And at this time, there really needs to be a limit. There needs to actually be some form of limitation to this quirk. Because currently, at this moment, there is nowhere that Izuku can technically hide, because we don't know of any current limit of the Search quirk. So no matter where Izuku runs, Shigaraki will know where he's at all given time and be able to chase after him. So there is just nowhere Izuku could rest. And I mean, you gotta think about this. Shigaraki was fighting for a very long time up against Gigan. So we know for a fact that he can stay awake for a long period of time, but can Izuku do that? I really doubt it. So the point is that Shigaraki will be endlessly chasing Izuku, and Izuku, he's gonna run out of, energy, endurance, eventually. So that's just horrifying to think about. I wonder how that is gonna work, the limitation, that there has to be something, honestly, because at this current time, our character's gonna die. But I know that Izuku's not gonna die, just at this given point, there has to be something. There has to be a weakness, which this is the segue to talk about. Shigaraki's current weakness. It actually kind of did reveal itself within this chapter. And I don't know how many actually realized that. There was a major weakness, actually. It's a pretty big weakness. And, I mean, depending on where Horikoshi as a writer takes it, obviously. I mean, it might not turn out to be one, but usually with that type of, stuff that was revealed within this chapter, usually it turns out to be one. And so, to kind of explain, to keeping you in the dark, Shigaraki talks about emptiness, this craving, this want for One For All. Now, we, as the readers of this series, know how One For All works. We know that All For One can't really take, One For All from Izuku. It's not possible. However, there might be other ways around it, etc. We don't really know how far maybe manipulation of the mind can go to probably steal a quirk from Izuku, because if Izuku wants to give over the quirk, then his quirk can be given over, but if he doesn't want to give it up, he keeps it. And I just really feel like maybe that is going to be the biggest weakness to Shigaraki. And to kind of elaborate on this, Shigaraki wants that quirk, but when he finds out he can't get it from Izuku, how is he going to react? Because right now he currently stated he feels emptiness. He currently feels like he wants more, like he doesn't have what he wants, and he wants One For All, something that his master was not able to obtain himself. So he wants to grab that. And obviously because of the restrictions of being able to grab it, Shigaraki, if he hypothetically does kill Izuku, he will never get that quirk, and he will always feel that emptiness within him. And I don't think that's something he wants. Emptiness is probably the greatest destruction of a person. Like, if you feel empty, you feel like you have nothing, it destroys you. And I feel like that emptiness could be his greatest weakness. Him wanting that quirk from Izuku might make it to where he doesn't end Izuku and keeps him around, keeps him alive until one day Izuku gives up the quirk to him or something. Maybe that manipulation, which this could easily tie into why All For One never really fully got rid of All Might or got rid of Izuku, even though he knew Izuku had the quirk. And here is what I'm going to talk about. So as we know, when it comes to quirks, every quirk usually has a limitation. They have a weakness. They have something that tears them apart and has drawback. And I feel like the quirk All For One has a very similar weakness, just like many other quirks. And that weakness is, besides it carrying on the legacy of the previous owner, for instance, All For One, it's also potentially a quirk that craves more quirks. It never feels satisfied, and it needs more. It needs to constantly obtain things that interest it, etc. And because of that, I feel like that is the crucial side effect, is that Shigaraki will never be satisfied ever. Even if he was to hypothetically gain One For All, he would never feel satisfied. He would want to gain more. Because we got to go back to what All For One said, not the quirk, but the person said in prison when he was talking about Ragdoll's search quirk. When he was confronted about giving the quirk back, he's like, oh, I'm truly sorry about that. It's a bad habit of mine. Any quirk that I really like or something I like, I typically grab. I go out of my way and snatch for myself. And he basically elaborates in saying, well, I could give it back if I used my own quirk. And I do like how that was kind of like emphasized there, basically proving that he technically could give the quirk back, but he didn't have his original quirk. He could give it back if he was allowed to have his original All For One, but we know where that led and all that. So the point is, it's kind of funny to me. The man literally was mocking them when they were asking for him to return quirks back when he really couldn't, and only Shigaraki technically could. It's fascinating. But the big point of that, though, is he says that it is a habit of his. It's a bad habit of his to snatch quirks. And what if, even if it's not a weakness necessarily of All For One, the quirk, what if that personality of All For One, even if it's unintentional, kind of passed on with the quirk, and it is now forcing Shigaraki to actively seek out quirks to feel satisfied. That is the weakness. So, hopefully I got my point across. Everybody understands, is that Shigaraki might not want to get rid of Izuku because he wants that quirk, and he doesn't want to fill that empty void for the rest of his life if he got rid of Izuku without grabbing the quirk. Which could explain why All For One never got rid of him either, because he doesn't want to fill that emptiness as well. You get the point there. But okay, with that, let's talk about the scene with Bakugo and Izuku and that character development. So, it's been very clear for a very long time that Bakugo has matured as a character. Like, he is not the same man he once was. He's developed so much in fact, and seeing him step up like he did to protect Izuku speaks so much volumes about his character, because he was someone that believed you had to be strong to be able to take on like 1v10, etc. He always believed in that mentality, and he really wasn't with the whole protecting mentality, being able to protect people with a smile. And seeing Bakugo within this chapter, it's very clear he has definitely learned that mentality from Izuku, and Izuku's kind of learned from him as well, and I love that development of the two, and I love Bakugo pretty much proving that he's not going to put his personal feelings in front of saving Izuku. He wants to protect him. He wants to make sure that Shigaraki doesn't get more powerful, protect the civilians. Bakugo as a character, he really shined in this chapter. I respect him greatly, and I'm just happy to see that development. Even though I know it's been very obvious, it always pleases me to see a character like Bakugo with his awful origin turn into what he is now. I appreciate that. I appreciate that kind of writing. Call me a sucker for it, but I love it. But, yeah, so Izuku, he did not ask for help, which kind of makes a lot of sense when you think about that scene. When he looks at the crowd, he realizes that the greatest villain is currently charging towards him. He looks at the crowd, he looks at the heroes evacuating people, he realizes that he can't actually tell the heroes why. He realizes the secret of One for All, why he can't say anything. He realizes if he was to tell them that Shigaraki was coming after him, then it would result in the heroes protecting Izuku and people dying, and basically the evacuees, the people that are escaping, would be in harm's way because there would be no heroes to really protect them. So Izuku did the very thing that is one of the crucial problems of his, is that he cared little about his life for the sake of others, and that is something that has been holding true for a very long time now, and I feel like because of him not wanting to speak to people about this, is going to result in maybe someone dying. For instance, Ochiko, Todoroki, Bakugo, Endeavor. Get the point. I feel like this is leading into something like that, and I understand why he's doing it, because the citizens do need to be protected, don't get me wrong, but him not telling people and people staying in the dark about it is not a good idea, especially to people that knows how he is and how he lies and how he has a hero-saving mentality. So that's going to be interesting, seeing maybe the trio, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Izuku potentially fighting Shigaraki. That's going to be a crazy one. Then, okay, what else is there really to get into? Besides that, one last detail I forgot to talk about earlier on in this video is that Shigaraki pocketed the quirk erasing bullets. I don't know if anyone noticed that. He did pocket those bullets, which makes it even more frightening, because that means that with his enhanced quirks, all the quirks he has, he could potentially just use force with super strength and just launch a bullet into someone and their quirk is gone. I can see maybe one of the kids, like Bakugo, Ochiko, or someone losing their quirk, and Shigaraki's able to do whatever he wants. I feel like that might happen too. And also, he grabs his spare hand, the hand that is obviously, you know, All Might's mentor. He grabs that hand, and we only see it very briefly, so it's still there, it's not destroyed, he held on to it. Find that very cool. It shows that he has somewhat of a lingering attachment to his grandma, that he wants to kind of be a hero in his own way. But okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's chapter of My Hero Academia. Tell me your thoughts on what you think is going to happen. But I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. And with that, Chibi out.